This is Akashvani. In the program Spotlight, now we bring you a discussion on Prime Minister's Mann Ki Baat. The participants are Ashok Tandon, political analyst, and S. Rangbhashyam, anchor.
Mr. Ashok Tandon, a warm welcome to this program and to discuss about one of the most popular programs, Mann Ki Baat of Prime Minister Narendra Modi on All India Radio. He spoke on a variety of issues as always, but it seems, the euphoria of the G20 summit hasn't died down and it's been more than 15 days, but still, in the entire population, in the media, among youngsters, the talk of the town is G20. And the Prime Minister also started off with that. India has actually proved her mettle and her leadership in the G20 summit, and also by making the African Union a full member of the G20. Isn't that really commendable?
Certainly. But one thing I would like to draw your attention is that in the very beginning, the Prime Minister talked of the success of the country, the success of the countrymen. And that success, he said, largely we all know is about the two subjects. One, the successful landing of Chandrayaan-3, and second, of course, the G20 summit. And he said enormous number of letters have been received by him from the people of this country. So therefore, it was very significant to discuss the success of the Chandrayaan landing, as well as we all know about the G20 success. But in the G20 success, another very significant milestone which India could achieve was the East Europe corridor. That is India, Middle East, Europe corridor. That is something which has been agreed unanimously at the G20 summit, and that is going to be a game changer in the time to come. And he said this corridor is going to become the basis of world trade for hundreds of years to come. And the history will always remember that this corridor was initiated on the Indian soil. So having said that, Prime Minister said in continuation of the G20, on 26th of September, there is going to be G20 University Connect program. And he urged all college-going students to participate in it. And many prestigious institutions like IITs, IIMs, NITs, and medical colleges, they are all going to participate in the G20 University Connect program. And this will be held on 26th of September. That was also, in a way, continuation of the success of G20.
Mr. Tandon, still talking about the G20 summit, making the African Union a full member of G20, doesn't that reflect the philosophy of India, the philosophy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam? That, India has always tried to take along people, and more so people in those countries which are kind of economically backward.
Yes, in fact, if we talk of G20, it's an economic forum. And the African Union, which we all know comprises of so many African countries, they were not part of the G20. So therefore, it was very pertinent that some voice should be raised in this forum to include them, and that voice was none other than that of the Indian Prime Minister. And India's success lies in the fact that the rest of the G20 members, they unanimously agreed to include the African Union, and now henceforth it will be known as G21. So I think it was something which the Prime Minister, his own charisma and his own leadership, that I think is reflected in this very decision, which was unanimously adopted. I think having said about the Chandrayaan-3 landing and the success of the G20, I think another significant point which the Prime Minister referred to was that on 27th of September is going to be World Tourism Day, and that will be celebrated. But he urged upon people that we have to participate in it. He said more than 1 lakh delegates came to India during the G20 year presidency, and they got acquainted with the Indian diversity, our different traditions, and our different types of cuisines, and our heritage. Now this is going to give a big boost to India's tourism from all over the world. And therefore, the World Tourism Day, which we are going to celebrate, should be a big success. And he said that Indians also, whenever they plan a holiday, they must make it a point to visit some place which is of the tourism significance. And I think in the same context, the Prime Minister talked of the UNESCO including 2 very important landmarks of India into the World Heritage List. So linking tourism with India's heritage as well as the success of the G20, Prime Minister made, I think, huge point today, which must appeal to all Indian citizens in the context of the Tourism Day.
Mr. Tandon, you spoke about the World International Tourism Day being observed on the 27th of September every year. And recently, as we all know, Shantiniketan and Hoysala temples of Karnataka being declared World Heritage Sites. But at the same time, I'm sure you will agree that tourism is probably one sector which has huge potential of employment generation. And that too with kind of minimum investment. For a country like India, where we have huge number of young people, this particular sector could really give a big boost to employment.
Of course, this I think has been part of Prime Minister's Mann Ki Baat in a number of episodes about tourism, and in the same context, Prime Minister has always talked about vocal for local, and this again is part of the tourism angle as well. This time particularly, because of the forthcoming festival season, Prime Minister again emphasized on vocal for local and said we must buy something which is produced in India during the festival and encourage the Vishwakarma community who are promoting and in fact maintaining the old age traditions of Indian art and India, the handicraft and all that. So this again is a very important thing. It is also in a way linked to tourism, but I think this is also a way of paying tribute to Mahatma Gandhi, and therefore he again urged people to support Khadi. Therefore, during the festival season, he appealed people to consider purchasing made in India products. I think that also has been a very significant point which Prime Minister has been making practically in every episode. And if I may say in the same breath, he wished the people of country for the forthcoming festivals like Navratri, Dasara and others. But not only we should celebrate these festivals with full enthusiasm, but also focus on vocal for local.
Mr. Tandon, you spoke about Gandhiji. The Prime Minister in today's program also recalled how world leaders reached Rajghat together and paid homage to the father of the nation. And that particular picture where you see all the world leaders paying homage, paying tribute to our father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, that's a picture to behold. And a very rare picture where you see all the world leaders at one place.
Of course, that was a sight. In fact, the Prime Minister himself mentioned that this sight, the coming generations are going to remember how the entire world leaders were gathering at Rajghat to pay tribute to Mahatma Gandhi. And in the same context, he said, on October 1, that is the day before the Gandhi Jayanti, we are going to encourage people in a very significant manner towards the cleanliness program. And therefore, a special drive has been arranged. So, either in your own neighborhood or public place. So, therefore, people should participate in this Swachhata cleanliness drive. And it will be a genuine tribute to Mahatma Gandhi. And therefore, he said, individuals should support not only cleanliness drive, but they should participate in it. And that was also part of, in a way, Gandhi Jayanti. But this time, it is not on October 2nd, but it is on October 1, a day before that. So it's going to be a countrywide program. And if I may move further, and we should talk about another very significant point, that is about the commendable rise in the number of lions, tigers, leopards and elephants in the country. And he said during the last few years, the number has increased. So therefore, we have to talk about safety, protection on all the animals. So therefore, the forest life again was part of Prime Minister's emphasis on the Mann Ki Baat episode. And I think we may not forget about the clip which we saw, the song by a German woman who is an Indian culture enthusiast.
And a fan of
She
Indian
played
music.
2 Indian songs sung by German. This was again very, very significant thing. And he appreciated this little girl who can't even see. So all these things are so heart-touching. They touch the heart of the millions of people. And that is why Mann Ki Baat is not a monologue. It is not even a dialogue, but it is an interactive session, not only with the people in India, but abroad as well. I think these things make Mann Ki Baat so popular, and that is why the kind of feedback Prime Minister gets is commendable.
Mr. Tandon, I'm sure you'll agree that, environmentalists and ecologists have always said that when, there is a clear-cut increase in the number of big animals like lion, tiger or elephants, that is a clinching evidence that the entire ecosystem is really healthy and all the animals, down the food chain are thriving. So in that sense, not only these, big animals like lions and tigers, that means our forest coverage is also increasing and all the animals down the food chain are also thriving.
Yes, that also, if I may say, has been the emphasis of Prime Minister in his Mann Ki Baat in a number of episodes. And one beauty of the Mann Ki Baat episode is that the Prime Minister has never initiated or launched any drive and left it. He has always been consistently hammering about it. And I think the cleanliness drive is the classic example which he has never forgotten. Now, if I may mention about the education, and which is always a service, and he mentioned some youth of Uttarakhand who are working for the education of children with the same spirit. Now, some youth in Nainital district have started a unique Ghoda library for children. That is a library, moving library on a horseback. And the visuals were so touching. And therefore, I think that was also one of the significant feature. And then the 7th grade girl who initiated a unique effort of relating to libraries in the city of Hyderabad. And the inspiration she got was from a cancer hospital. Patients wanted pictorials. And that effort of the Hyderabad girl, and she is studying in the 7th grade, and she has achieved a remarkable success at the age of 11. So all these things are so interactive when we see the visuals on Mann Ki Baat. So as if we are ourselves participating in the initiatives and the programs which people are doing in different parts of the country. And in the same context, if we talk about the Western UP, Sambal people who have revived a river by their efforts. There are an enormous number of examples which today we got, which encourage people and inspire them to do something. And I think as a result of all these things, people across the country, they try to get engaged into some social work or the other, and they contribute in a success of the downtrodden and also success of the country in so many sectors.
And Mr. Tandon, as you earlier mentioned, the Prime Minister also made a mention of, vocal for local. And he urged upon countrymen to buy things which are made locally in the country. So that in a way is kind of a second Swadeshi Abhiyan.
Of course it is, but today he made another significant observation that the Azadi Ka Amrit Kal is also the period of duty for every citizen of the country. So only by performing our duties can we achieve our goal and reach our destination. See, the sense of duty binds us all together. And that was in the context which I was mentioning earlier, that the Sambal area in the Western UP, and they have proved it, is an example of the sense of duty which the people have performed. Just imagine, 70 villages, population of thousands of people, they came together and, they revived a river which had in fact disappeared, and it is going to be a big boon for the irrigation facility, the Western South River as we know that. So that was an example which Prime Minister gave before the nation, that if we decide to do something, we can always achieve it. And this was one example which we gave Prime Minister in very great detail, that 70 Gram Panchayats came together. And that this wonderful thing, about 100 kilometers of the river has already been revived. And that was one example of commitment to your duty.
Mr. Tandon, on this optimistic note, let's wind up this discussion. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
You were listening to a discussion on Prime Minister's Mann Ki Baat. The participants were Ashok Tandon, political analyst, and S. Rangbhashyam, anchor. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of Akashvani. You can listen to it on our mobile app News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel News on AIR Official. You may share your feedback about this program through email at airnsdtalks@gmail.com or WhatsApp on 9289 094044.